Hello everyone, I am back once again, this time with a review of the Transformers Rise of the Beast Studio Series Bumblebee. So here we are, and there he is right now. Now, before we move on to the box and everything, some little housekeeping rules. Yes, I am making another review because currently Bloody Winter is going to be released. I just have to motivate myself to edit. So there might be a delay. I don't know when. Maybe somewhere between somewhere in between September 15th to September 20. Well, not September, December 15th to December 20. Yes, I am a little bit scattered brain right now, but I am trying to edit it. Currently, I did the editing for all the stop motion clips, and it's going to be ported on to CapCut, and it's going to be going through a lot right now, but it's going to go through a lot of editing, a lot of sounds, and it's going to be a genuine pain in the ass to get every single sound, but it is what it is. And there will be a few reviews hopefully coming soon. There will be, again, of course, this Bumblebee. I do have a Optimus Prime review coming in. This might just be on the one from Rise of the Beast, and also a No Way Home, the Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home 3-pack review, because it will almost be the 3-year anniversary of Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm also going to put that up as well. So that's going to be essentially the week. And another thing too, I'll put an image on screen. I have a poll up currently on the on the Christmas gifts unboxing. Let me know what you want to see. Do you want to see it as a video? Do you want to see it as a live stream like last time? Or do you want to see me do something more? Or do you not want me to actually make the video? It's up to you, So please, by all means, vote on that community poll right now after watching this video. So, yeah. Housekeeping aside, let's go over the box. Now, of course, it is a Studio Series figure, so you do get a backdrop here. Let's start off with the backdrop. You do get number 100 Studio Series, and then you get a fiery backdrop reminiscing to the end of the movie, Transformers. Nothing at the back or anything. Then we get a nice product shot of Bumblebee on the side, Transformers Deluxe Glass on the other side. You get Bumblebee right there. Plastic-free packaging, and then they have this Transformers Rise of the Beast on the bottom, nothing else. And on the back, we get everything here. Stats on the back, and a little read-up over here. Read-up would be like over here, so read that as you wish. There's even a GM logo. So, yep, that's it for the box and the packaging. Now, a quick overview on this guy. So, in general, I genuinely did not really care for this Bumblebee figure at the time. I didn't really think I really needed him. But, after a while, especially since my first Bumblebee figure from Studio Series, the thing was the Clunker Bee. Since that figure kind of broke its little joint over here, I was like, okay, I think I need and due for an upgrade, and I did hear a lot of positive things about this figure, so I was like, screw it, may as well get this. And I got it, I think, during the Prime Day alongside Scourge, I believe, and man, I was impressed by this figure. And I think for me, it might just be the best Bumblebee figure from the movies so far. Now, as to why, well, I'm going to explain that with you, starting off with the painting and the sculpting. So, let's start off with the painting and the sculpting here. I think the painting and the sculpting here is actually really good. And it's very, very crisp. And especially this will also be shown as well in car mode, but I think it's shown here as well in robot mode. Starting off with the head. Now, granted, I know there's actually a version 2 of this guy. I'll show it on screen, where the paint on his face isn't completely unpainted. I still think it's very nicely well sculpted, and I feel like it has some of the best eyes I've ever seen for Bumblebee, or let alone any live action Bumblebee. They actually did a pretty good job on it. It doesn't look weird. I'll do a little comparison with him and the Clunker Bee later on, but yeah, it looks so much better. I really love the painting and sculpt. I really love the painting. Well, I really love the sculpting, but I do feel like, again, the painting could use a little bit of work. I do think the top, very nicely well done. And then moving on to the sides. Hold on, give me a moment, please. Sorry, I just had to brighten my screen here. But anyways, it is very nicely well done. I do like the sculpting here. I do really like the silver and the gray parts, even though it's just pure plastic. However, there are some parts where I feel like they could have done a little bit better, especially, for example, these hands. It's kind of unpainted, and, you know, it kind of cuts off over here, and it looks kind of, in my opinion, really ugly. And then moving on to the inner part of the arm, yeah, that could have also used at least a tad bit more paint on the top. And there could have been at least a little bit more dry brushing here, but I mean, it's a Transformers figure that transforms, I don't think they need to have the best amount of paint, but overall, I do feel like there could have been a little bit more. But the sculpting here is very nice. Of course, we get his fists, we get the articulation, the detail there, which looks really nice, and it's all consistent with one color. And really, that's all I gotta say, you know, in terms of the painting and the sculpting. The plastic they used is all one color, and it's not weirdly mismatched like the Clunker Bee, I feel. And the added bits of gray and silver kind of splice it up. My only gripe is, like, again, it kind of looks a little bit weird with some other parts, but it's not a complete deal breaker. In terms of Ghibli and proportions, you could argue, like, these parts here are kind of a mess, as they kind of just jut out on the front and everything. But I mean, I don't know how you could be able to design this type of feature on this without kind of screwing it up, like what they did with Clunker Bee, which I dread if I'm going to do the comparison with him with the transformation. And then, of course, there's these kind of foot Ghibli parts, which is a bit of a bummer. But again, it's very nicely well done. And I do really like the nice, intricate detailing, even if there is not enough highlight and paint to really... Not really enough highlight there because of the lack of paint. So overall, I do really like the paint. I do think, yeah, it looks a little bit unfinished at parts, but in others, it looks very crisp. It doesn't look very unnatural. I feel like what could have made it a little bit better is maybe just that face. It definitely needs a little bit more paint. Now, as for accessories, he only comes with two, that being his blaster. Those are little tabs for the alt mode. And it only really fits on one hand, specifically this one. It just simply pegs into there, and boom, he has a gun. And I do like this more than than the Clunker Bee. I'm going to mention Clunker Bee a lot because that figure is notorious for being considered as one of the most hated figures from Studio Series. But yeah, you had to essentially... you had to really, like, pop out his regular arm and then pop in his regular arm, or this cannon arm, and it's like, at the same time, it also is a risk for it to get lost. So I'm glad it's just something like this, although I wish it could have covered up here. But honestly, it looks really good. Just maybe needed a little bit more paint, maybe some yellow and some dry brushing of some yellow, of some orange to showcase it's been fired. And you can also place it on this arm, but it just looks weird, and that's the best you're gonna get, and it just looks really off. So it's not really best to do that. Now, as for the blade, I do think the blade is very well done, and it's very accurate to how it looked in the Bumblebee movie. I don't remember him exactly using this in the movie. I know he used Prime's axe, but he didn't really use this. And again, it's very nicely good. It's very nicely detailed. I do wish it was a little bit more painted per se, especially if they, cut out on didn't added like the silver or anything, which I'm gonna show with the original Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, which is probably going to be replaced by that new one I'll show on screen, but if you know what I mean. But yeah, I do really like this. I do really like it's more accurate and such. And it's, as you can see here, there's holes here, there's little tabs here. It simply just pops in and it looks very nice. And you can do it for the other hand. The only thing is that it's going to be essentially reversed, so the blade is facing down rather than facing up like the other one. And you also can do this, but why would you? And this is more or less meant for the transformation. So yeah, it's a very nice array of accessories. I don't know what else this figure could have come with. So yeah, now let's move on to my favorite thing about this figure, the articulation. Okay, I probably should retract that statement because it's my second favorite thing about this figure. But the articulation on this thing is so much better. It's not. I know it's a bit flimsy, as you can see, but he's not a complete and utter mess like Clunkerbee, and hell, even the Studio Series Bumblebee Bumblebee, before they upgraded it. This figure is not a complete mess, and I'm glad for that. So starting off, now of course there are some things I gotta mention. I did have to put nail polish on, I think, one of his arms, and especially on his head, as it was very loose. But it is very good. So yes, there is a ball joint at the head. He can look up about this far, and he can look down about this far, not too much. He has a tilt, and he has, of course, a rotation, which hopefully does not snap, which it didn't. He has a very nicely tight ball joint, but it's not too on his arm, but it's not too tight, which is amazing. It's also not too loose, unlike, again, Clunkerbee. It can go in, it could go out, and it can go in. Unfortunately, there is no bicep swivel here. There is a bit of a forearm swivel right here. Very nicely well done. However, there is no hand articulation or wrist articulation, which is a bit of a shame. But not really a deal breaker, because let's be real here, those made even more pain of adding more steps into the transformation. He does have a waist swivel that is not hindered by the backpack over here that's kind of collapsed. He does have a ball joint at the leg. He can go up this far, he can go back this far, and he can spread about this far, which is amazing. And again, even though it's a little bit loose, it's not a complete, utter glob of plastic that wants to fall apart. He has a sort of 90-degree bend at the knee, which is very nicely well done. And he also has ankle articulation, but unfortunately, it can't go up, similar to the Clunker or the Bumblebee movie Bumblebee. So yeah, overall, I think the articulation is definitely one of my favorite things about this figure, and it really adds so much fun, you know, just posing this guy in any sort of way. And it definitely adds joy to this figure, which I did not expect. Now let's go over the size comparisons. Alright, so this guy, unfortunately I don't have my ruler, but I did use the measurement tool on my phone. And he's about 11 centimeters or 4.3 inches. So he is a bit of a small figure. He's almost 5 inches. But but because it's Bumblebee, it makes sense. Now, as for comparison, here he is compared to the buzzworthy Bumblebee Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. This was an exclusive until Hasbro was like, you know what? We should make it a standard release now. Yeah, after like a year. But side note, I am happy they are releasing it again in retail. It kind of makes me feel bad. I got this one, but I am glad I got it early. But I am also glad that people are getting the official one as well at retail and not have to pay the ridiculous prices of this figure on the aftermarket. So I am glad about that. And as for the most important comparison, okay, and this is the most important one. Here is the Rise of the Beast Bumblebee compared to a slop of literal floppiness and guy with weak knees. But in reality, yeah, this thing, knee surgery be like? But anyways, yeah, the most important one is definitely these two. Now, yes, there are some things. I know they're very much different versions of the character. You know, just they have the same alt mode, but I will say there are, again, a lot of improvements here. The head sculpt here, in my opinion, just looked absolutely horrid to look at. It looked really creepy. And what's worse is these dang arms are flimsy as hell. And as you can see, this thing, as you can notice, is going out, and it sucks. And then, of course, you have this, which is a loose piece of garbage. And, yep, and look at this. This thing fell off. This thing is super loose because guess what? It's being held by clear plastic. This whole assembly is made out of clear plastic. Same with this, but it feels like it's made out of sturdier materials than this thing, which is just, oh my gosh. It's so terrible in terms of engineering. One thing that this figure does better is definitely do this. It has the feet articulation. I do think it integrated the feet wheel perfectly. But yeah, this is an improvement all around. Now, because it's a Transformers figure, I will go over the transformation. And I kind of dread I'm not doing that. I should have gone another blade, but it's in an accessory bin in a drawer, so I'll probably show a photo on the screen. But yeah, let's go over the transformation. Okay, so transformation for this guy is actually very simple. And this is my favorite thing about this figure, because unlike this thing doesn't feel like a pain in the balls. It feels fun to transform. So, let's start with it. First off, push these little sides of the bumper down. Next, you fold out this little backpack piece and you raise it up. Then, of course, you fold out this little part here. Then you want to untab the entire front section of his chest and move it here. Just let it rest. Now move on to the legs. Simply unfold this part right here, flip the bumper this way, and then simply push the feet in. That way it will collapse inside, which looks really cool. Do the same on the other foot. You then want to tab them in like so. Then, of course, you put the hood of the car, you put the front of the car there, you tab it in there, and then you tab the sides over here. Then you want to tab these doors. There's a little bit of a notch here that goes into this little slot right there, and you just want to tab it in on both sides. That way it's a very nice snug feeling. Then finally untab these arm pegs, push in these sides of the car, rotate the entire arm, rotate the bicep, or actually no, keep the bicep as is, and you're done. And yeah, as I said before, I prefer this. This transformation isn't a pain. It doesn't make me want to destroy the figure as much as this guy. It actually is a lot of fun. Now, of course, there are some complaints. This part doesn't really fully go in, but it's not a complete pain in the balls compared to this part right here on the Clunker Bee. And there's one thing that could break. It's definitely this grill. I did see a few reports of it popping off. If it does happen to you, just glue it back in. And as for weapon storage, simply there's a little notch right here created by the feet, and you simply just plug in the blade. And as for the back right here, I'm going to very much move in very closely. There might be a little hole right there. This is for the gun, and it simply just tabs into there. So overall, it is very nice. It rolls very nice. It looks very good. And this was when Bumblebee kind of in the film upgraded from his death. So, of course, he has all these off-road parts. So, hopefully, we do get a regular version of Bumblebee from Rise of the Beast. This is technically the off-road version. So, yeah, I do really like it. It's very nicely well done. It rolls extremely well. I do like it. Looks very mean. And I do like it. In terms of some complaints, I do wish that the back parts here were painted. But otherwise, again, one of my main pros about this is that it's all one color. It doesn't look really ugly. It doesn't look like it's kind of orangey. It looks amazing, and I absolutely love it. I love how compact he is. He doesn't feel like he could break. He doesn't feel like, you know, he feels very complete. He feels very compact. Now, as for comparison, and as for some vehicle mode comparisons, here he is compared to the Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. A little weird, but I could be wrong. This could be the actual scaling of the real-life vehicles. And as for that other comparison, is the god-awful Clunkerbee. And as you could see, this is what I mean. Mismatch, and it looks kind of orangey on camera. This thing is like pure yellow. And this thing is painful. It doesn't tab in. This translucent part here doesn't work. This arm is so loose and broken that it doesn't, I didn't even put it in. And it's so, oh my goodness. And I was actually one of the few defenders of this thing. Now it's like, if they can, please upgrade it. Please. I think it's time we upgrade from that Last Night Bumblebee mold. Alright, now let's revert this thing back into robot mode. Now again, as for transforming this guy, it's really easy. Really simple. Let me just remove the accessories out. So, and that almost fell. So, again, very easy. First off, untab the arms. Next, you want to untab the wheels and untab the doors. Then, of course, you would want to carefully, under this part, push and then untab it there. We'll tab in the arms and put the chest down. Fold in this little backpack here, and there you go. And as for good measure, to finish off the arms, to finish off the upper half, move the sides of the bumper up. And as for the legs, untab the legs, fold out the feet, rotate this the back down, and fold in the calf, and do the same on the other side. Again, this is why I say it's easy. I can transform this back and forth without the fear of it wanting to snap. So now let's move on to my final thoughts. So overall, is this figure worth buying? Yes. Yes, 100%. And this is why I consider it, for me, the best Bumblebee so far, that I don't even know if I want to even get another Bumblebee. Although that Studio Series 86 Bumblebee is calling me. And who knows, there could be another Bumblebee that they could churn out, and I'm definitely going to go get it, like Legacy Animated Bee. But so far, out of my entire collection, this is the best Bumblebee. It has some amazing painting sculpt. It has proper plastic, proper coloring. It doesn't feel mismatched, unlike this figure. It doesn't really have that much loose joints. It kind of does, but it's not so loose that it definitely, you want to, kind of want to tear the figure in half. It feels very good. The transformation on this thing is some of the best work I've seen on a Hasbro figure. And overall, it's a very great figure. Definitely get it even at its regular price. I definitely recommend you buy it. it's definitely, again, for me, the best Bumblebee from the movies. I think the array of accessories is good, and all it really needs is just some more paint, and that's it. Otherwise, I think it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. It is a very good figure, and if you can't, definitely get it. Even at full price, it's really good. Trust me. You're not gonna be let down with this one, unlike the other ones. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will be doing hopefully a review on either this Optimus Prime or on the Spider-Man 3-pack. So until then, I will see you all next time. Bye bye.